Hey guys, welcome back to Reignited and our final episode of our Budget Challenger build-up. Now in the last episodes, you saw me put a 6.4 liter cam in this thing. We put SRT headers on there. We had to modify our exhaust to fit that. Did a bunch of other maintenance stuff on there. Put a catch can in there and a K&N air filter. So with all those modifications on there, the final thing we're going to do in this episode is we're going to install this DiabloSport tuner. Now all I'm going to do with this tuner is I'm going to use the can tune that it comes stock with for a 93 octane tune on a 5.7. Clearly that tune will not be optimized for our setup now with the 6.4 cam in there. I'm looking for a shop locally that we can work with to maybe do some dyno tuning and actually fine tune this thing and get it absolutely dialed. But until then, this is what's going to have to work. And then after we get this installed, I'm going to take this thing for a final drive and impressions. If you want to skip forward at any point, I'm going to put the chapters in the description down below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Let's get into it. Now, when I installed the catch can in the previous episode, I thought that was a really simple install. It was literally like 5 minutes, one of the easiest things I've ever put on a vehicle before. However, I'm expecting more of the same with these tuners. Usually these tuners are very easy to use. They're very user-friendly. There's not a lot to them. They're very straightforward as far as just plugging it in, following the prompts, and you'll get there in the end. Now, the instructions did mention that I might have to update the tuner right from the start. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing all powered up, and then I'm gonna see if it prompts me to be updated. If that's the case, I'll have to go through that process. All right, let's go key on and get this thing powered up. We got sound effects straight out of the 80s here. All right, so we got a touch screen here, and it comes up with your basic settings here: tune the vehicle, scan tool, or settings. Let's go into tune the vehicle. It says, please ensure the key is in the run position, but do not start the engine. All right, so we have two different options here. We have easy tune or advanced tune. I'm gonna stick with easy tune for right now. 93 octane tune. Cold air intake. Yes, we do have a cold air intake. Change tire size. I mean, we could. We're pretty close to stock though, so I'm just gonna say no. Can always change that later. Change gear ratio. No, we have not changed our gear ratio. Remove speed limiter. Nah, I'm not planning on going that fast. It says the i3 scanner will now read a backup from the vehicle. Yes, we would like to do that. All right, now it's asking me if I want to install the tune. I'm going to say yes. Yes again. That was fast. Tuning complete. You may unplug the tool and enjoy driving your vehicle. Very good. Well, I expected simple, but that was even simpler than I thought. So that's nice. We got the new tune on there. Let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive and see just how it feels. All right, I'm going to be giving you guys my honest first impression here because this will be my actual first time driving it with a 93 octane tune on there. It's a good start when it actually fires up. We're gonna go ahead and let the engine come up to temperature before we go ripping on it. So drivability on this tune seems to be pretty good so far. I'm not noticing any real hiccups or anything. Although I have to say, for me, the stock 5.7 tune handled the 6.4 cam way better than I thought it would. I didn't really notice any issues with it. The only thing that it would do is that very occasionally the idle would hang on it, or not idle, but basically when you shift from like 2,500 RPM, the RPMs would hang at like 2,500 RPM for a few seconds before it would start to actually come back down to idle. So that was a little strange. So that was the only thing I could see that with the stock tune that wasn't working quite right. But honestly, you could drive it around with no issue with the factory tune in there. I was pretty surprised by that. Funny story with this car, you guys. I actually really like this car a lot, but I completely forgot about the red sports car tax that you have to pay. So I got pulled over in this car already the other day, and I wasn't speeding, I wasn't doing anything wrong, but I didn't yet have my new plates on the vehicle, so I got pulled over for having no plates on there. Essentially, the police officer just wanted to check out the car. He wanted to see what was done to it, that kind of thing. So I don't blame him, I get it, but it is the red sports car tax. You drive around something that looks cool, sounds cool, you're gonna have a lot of eyes on you. So you gotta be careful if you're gonna have any fun with it. I definitely think this tune is a little smoother than the stock tune. Coming to a stop and just general drivability, it's definitely a little smoother than the stock one was. I have to say though, I was expecting a bit more of a noticeable increase in power, and while there probably is a power increase there, it's not nearly as big as the jump I noticed when I put the new cam in there and when I put the new headers on there. Definitely felt more mid-range and top end when I did that. With this new tune on here, it's got a little something, but it's not as hard hitting as I had expected it to be. But again, I don't know if I can blame the tune entirely. I mean, this is, like I said, it's just a stock tune that came with the rig. So clearly it's not optimized for a 6.4 cam. However, I did expect with some timing changes and stuff there'd be a bit more of a bump in this thing. It appears to be some form of limiter. It pulls all the power away when I get to about 6,000 RPM. It says, "You're done." Shuts it down. It's just duh, go. Interesting. I'll be honest, this thing's a little lazy. I might go back to the tune I had on there before, the stock tune. All right, I'm going to load the stock tune that I had on there before, and I'm going to drive it again and see what kind of difference there is. Gosh, I think this one just has a little bit more off the mid-range. Feels nicer. Yeah, it's definitely got more punch in the mid-range. One more time, I went ahead and loaded that 93 octane tune back into the vehicle. I'm going to drive it again, back to back, see how it feels. Gotta tell you, I really don't like it as much as the tune that was in here. It just feels a little bit lazier. Doesn't quite have that mid-range punch. And it feels identical up top. Well, I'm not gonna lie, that was a little bit disappointing. I was expecting a little bit more than that. This tune, this stock tune that comes with this Diablo tuner, the 93 octane tune, is so lazy in the mid-range. Now, is that really the tuner's fault? Maybe not, based on the fact that I do have a different cam in here than what it's actually designed to do. So that could be part of it, but definitely was a little bit bummed out about that. The car is much more responsive with the tune that came with the vehicle. And here's a little story about that. I think I know what's going on here. When I originally purchased the car, the customer had, or the owner had told me that he thought it had a tune on it. Now, when somebody tells you that, usually they're just looking to sell the vehicle. I mean, it's a sports car. Oh yeah, it's tuned, whatever. Clearly he was right. It had a tune on it because the tune itself is pretty good. I mean, I was surprised when I initially got the cam in there how well the thing drove. It's almost like the tune that it had in there was complemented by the camshaft that I put in it. So the thing actually rips pretty good with the tune that was in there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and switch it back to the tune that the car came with, because it just drives so much better that way. It has a lot more spunk, especially in the mid-range, so much more responsive. It is a little bit rough around the edges as far as the tune goes, but it's not that bad. Obviously, I can still use this DiabloSport tuner to really fine tune it. If I do able to get it to take it to a dyno session, really get a tuner to dial it in, I could have a tune that's even better than what's in here now. But of course, that does take a lot of money. It does take a lot of time. I'm a little short on both right now. So I think this is where we're gonna leave it sit for this episode. It's been fun, this whole project. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching us follow along here. Hopefully I will get it dyno at some point, give you some actual power numbers to go off of, but at least you kind of get a sense now of what's involved in installing all these different mechanical things. And I hope you guys know that you can have the confidence to do these sort of things yourself. Nothing I've done here on this project has been too complicated or over the top. Now, as far as this vehicle goes, I do have a bit of a dilemma right now, and that is, I gotta tell you a little story here. So working at a dealership, one of the things that we do is called an NVP, new vehicle prep, or a PDI, pre-delivery inspection. Basically, we take brand new vehicles and drive them for about 10 miles to make sure everything's ship shape before we put them out on the lot. Now this means that I get to drive a lot of different vehicles throughout the years. Once you do that, you realize that a car is a car is a car. Even some of the really cool ones on the surface, they don't really excite you that much when you drive them. And therefore, there's not a whole lot of draw there never was to buying a brand new car for me. However, the only vehicle that ever tempted me in all my years of doing that was a 2016 Scat Pack Challenger with a manual transmission. Oh, that 6.4 engine with a manual trans, that thing was awesome. And I'm saying that even though I've driven a lot of different Hellcats as well, the Hellcats are just kind of stupid powerful, and they're so over the top actually that it's kind of annoying. I do love that supercharger whine though. But that being said, the 6.4 Scat Pack Challenger was the only one where I was like, man, I really want to buy this car brand new. I think with my dealer discount, I could have gotten it for 32 grand or something. Still didn't pull the trigger on it, but I always say that was the one that tempted me the most. Now that this car is done, I gotta be honest, it drives very, very similar to that car. And it's got me thinking, now normally with this channel, I'm funding it all myself essentially, so I have to build the cars and then I have to sell them to kind of recoup that money. But I gotta be honest, this Challenger is really, really tempting me right now. I love the way that thing drives. It is so much fun. And this is even just with basic bolt-ons you guys saw that you guys can do. If I were to go a little bit more extreme with the car, start to make some real power out of this thing, it'd probably be even more fun. But I think this is as far as I'm gonna go with it for right now. But man, if you're at all on the fence about doing some mods to your own 5.7, don't be, jump on board. This changed the car completely. Its character when I first bought it, absolutely could take it or leave it. Well, it was like, okay, that's fine. You know, it's just like every other Hemi pretty much I've driven. But with the addition of the shifter in there and then the power modifications, it has completely changed the character of the car. So much more fun to drive. Makes me excited to get in it and drive. And that's the whole point of owning an enthusiast vehicle, isn't it? All right, so again, that is it. That's the wrap up on our series here. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed everything. I hope you enjoyed watching this series, but I also hope you'll stick around for the series coming up next. We continue on with my C10 Hemi swap truck for Rocky Mountain Race Week. That is going to be the next videos coming out. You're gonna see that truck hopefully be built within the next 2 months. It's gonna be a thrash, but I hope you guys follow along with me the whole way. All right, thank you always for all of your support, everything you guys do. And we'll see you next time on Reignited.
Mm-hmm.